Hello and welcome to BigDiffGaming. And now that we've completed Assassin's Creed 2, it's time for me to answer. Is it any good and should we be playing it in 2025? Well, all I can say is I'm a big, massive fan of the Assassin's Creed games. Although I do prefer Assassin's Creed in the older sense, some of the newer games are cool to play, but they have lost their way. So that's what made me go back to Assassin's Creed 2, almost 16 years on. I've got to say, this was back in the era when Ubisoft, the developers of the game, cared more about innovation and creativity over, well, more recent times when, they'd prefer to have a little bit of a paywall in front of anything that they do. So, with that in mind, and putting that back, it seems like Ubisoft has lost their way when it comes to storytelling and likes to gain their way when it comes to filling their pockets with more coin. Let's just forget about that side anyway. Let's talk about the game at hand, Assassin's Creed 2. Well, if you want my honest review, it still bloody well holds up. From 2009 to 2025, it definitely still holds up. Although, after the initial nostalgia which hit, and it did hit hard, some cracks did show. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the gameplay, the story. So the story continues straight on from Assassin's Creed 1. I'm not going to go into detail about the story. Basically, you play as Ezio, a young guy who didn't know that his father was an assassin. He then sees his father and his brother get murdered, and his dad sends him away to get to the Assassin's Creed suit. He gets the suit and the hidden blade, but the hidden blade's a bit crap and broken. Fast forward on, the whole game is about Ezio growing up and becoming the Ezio, the frenzy that we know and love. And throughout the game, the story's pretty solid, I've got to say. There's enough there for you to be intrigued, there's enough there for you to be like, hang on, what's happening? There's enough there for me to feel like I am playing through a game more than just because, That said, there was a couple of things in there. For instance, you start the game as Desmond Miles, who is Ezio's ancestor, in Abstergo, the bad guy's lair, so to say, in today's world, with your friend Lucy, who is an assassin. Now, you're trying to tell me that Lucy, who has been working in Abstergo for X amount of time, just to get to you and to save you, been working right next to the main bad guy in our time, without this multi-million-pound company, probably at the size of something that Tesla or Elon Musk owns. She managed to go unnoticed by these people without them realising she was an assassin until it was time to break Desmond out. Anyway, on top of that, you find out later on in the game, in the clip that we're playing now, he's fighting, he's about to become officially inducted as an assassin. Turns out that the whole game leading up to this moment, you have been tested and being watched by your uncle who's an assassin and the rest of the Italian assassinos. So you're playing the fate of the world into a unskilled, unexperienced assassin to be, as a test for him to maybe become an assassin. Luckily he passes, right, because, it's only the whole world which is at stake. Other than that, it's top notch. It really is. It's a good game. It continues directly on from Assassin's Creed 1, and it seems like it's from a time when Ubisoft cared more about storytelling than they did care about more money, etc., etc. On the whole, though, the gameplay mixed in with, what you can do in Assassin's Creed. Like, Assassin's Creed back in these days, it was known to be able to, well, for me, a couple of things: to be able to free run, to be able to do some stylish fighting, as you can see on my screen right now. Not that I'm showing you the style side of it, but it was known, like, the assassinations made you feel like a true assassin. The free running just gelled together, made you feel fantastic. And when you put it all together, it made you feel like Ezio Auditore de Frenzy, as much as you could do. That's not to say, though, that some of it wasn't a bit flawed when I was playing it. I don't know whether it was the nostalgia or anything, and I was quite open in my videos when I was playing it, that I was not, for some reason this time around, not the best at free running. However, everything was going smoothly until I get to Venice. It almost felt like Venice was the stopping point for everything good in Assassin's Creed 2. Well, that's a little harsh, but it sort of fell apart a little bit more in Assassin's Creed 2 once you reach Venice, in the sense that free running all of a sudden became a task and became harder. It was very hard to string anything together. Now, like I said, I already wasn't the best, but Ezio at times all the way through has problems with where you're going to jump. Sometimes he'll jump over to the left, sometimes he'll not jump at all, sometimes he won't grab on, sometimes he'll grab onto something you don't want him to. There's a whole mix of problems there. But on the whole, I was quite open to say that it was probably me 9 times out of 10 making my mistakes until Venice. In Venice, I found that all of a sudden the free running had just completely lost its way. It felt like I didn't know whether I was safe enough to be able to run across the buildings, whether he would make it up and across or not. And that's not good for something which is meant to be primarily a stealthy sort of free running style-esque game. Like, part of it, like you just saw there on the screen, part of it was the style of the assassinations, being stabbed up. And that leads me nicely into what you're seeing me do on the screen just now, using the hidden blade as another point. See, I realised early on that there's no leveling system like the newer games. If you wanted to, and you could kill anyone that you wanted to, any soldier. But that's not to say that the game didn't naturally progress you through the use of training you how to fight. You know, your uncle trains you how to fight early on, and again a bit later on. When you get upgrades off Leonardo da Vinci for your hidden blade, it trains you how to use those. Hell, it even trains you how to leap from one ledge up to the other to grab onto, free running about 3/4 of the way or halfway through the game. You're constantly being trained through this game, so you're constantly leveling up in a way. And so the fighting becomes easier. There is 4 different types of soldier in this game, for me anyway. You have the ones which are low level. These guys are the ones that you can take on almost from immediately with little to no problems at all. You have the ones which are more armoured, better experience, better sort of weapons. They get a little harder, and so forth. You obviously also have the tanks and the people with the spears. But 9 times out of 10, if you can find a way, you can kill them. But they do put up a fight until you get the hidden blade out. Now, the hidden blade is absolutely broken on this game. It's almost like they did not think that people would try to use the hidden blade in a hand-to-hand sword sort of scenario against like 5 or 6 different soldiers until they met me. If you use the hidden blade almost against anyone in any fight, they will sort of back down, and that'll be it. You can just take on anyone with the hidden blade. It's that broken. If it was Call of Duty, there would be calls on every forum going, asking them to nerf the hidden blade. It is that bad. All that awesome, because it is just a single player game, and sometimes you do just want an easy escape or an easy kill. So those 2 gameplay features, though, does that ruin the game for me? I'm going to say no. For me, I didn't find it too annoying to run around the streets. In fact, this playthrough, I remember when I was a kid playing it, I absolutely loved everything and embraced everything to do with assassinhood sort of stuff. Whereas this playthrough, I wanted to be snappy, I wanted to get things done for the videos, to be able to move on from one level to the other, and sometimes running around the streets is faster than free running. It just is, because of, like I said, how glitchy Ezio can be. That said, the other thing is, when it comes to all this sort of thing, when you reach Venice, the story slows down as well. And when I say that, what I mean is, in the earlier games, I didn't really notice the missions going back and forth. It might have been a little bit repetitive, but I didn't notice it because it felt like each mission had purpose. Each mission meant that I was doing it for a reason. Whereas all of a sudden in Venice, I found myself going here to get that, bring it back here, going from A to B, back to A, back to B, back to A. Very repetitive missions, to the point that I even commented it in the videos, because it was getting boring just going back and forth. It was almost like we hit Venice, this big, vast open world of a city, beautifully reconstructed, and the game developers and the storytellers suddenly slowed down and didn't know what to do with that city that they had made. But that was just one area of it. When I think about Assassin's Creed as a whole, there is some redeeming qualities even in Venice. I mean, there's a mission where you get to fly over Venice for something Leonardo made. There's a mission where you get to plan out everything that you want to do. You know, there is missions there. One of my favourite missions is when you're masked and you've got to go through different trials in a masked fair to be able to earn enough to win the golden mask to be able to get to your next assassination. I absolutely love that about it. And I love the fact, like you can see on the screen, that you are reminded that you are playing Desmond. It drives you back in to play Desmond. You are reminded that this isn't just about Ezio, this is about the future. Well, our present. The story does gel, and the gameplay can be a lot of fun. The amount of times I felt awesome assassinating someone from up on a rooftop, or chucking a throwing knife at someone, it was amazing, you know. Again, do I think that it is worth playing or replaying if you have never played it in 2025, especially if you've only played some of the new Assassin's Creed? Well, I would say that if you have never played this Assassin's Creed, that it is well worth going back and playing. And if, like me, you loved it when you were younger, then like me, the nostalgia will get you through to a point in the story where you are hooked and you're playing. I think that for a game which was created 16 years ago, it stood the test of time. And with the Ezio collection, it does in some ways stand up against some of the newer titles. For me, I am more of an Assassin's Creed sort of classic era fan. These games provide that nostalgia and that sort of storytelling that the newer games just doesn't have. And so I'm going to give this a solid 7.5 out of 10 replayability in 2025. I mean, if you guys disagree with it, smack comments down below. If you haven't already, subscribe. Be part of the BigDiffGaming community. I'm from the Diff and I game, but also I want you to be part of something different. I want to make a big difference for the BigDiffGaming community, and the more I grow, the bigger difference I can make. It's good to be different, so hit subscribe. Thanks guys, until next time.